the 7 Japanese minimalism secrets that will transform your life. Look around your home right now. Count the things you haven't touched in months. The clothes hanging with tags still on, the gadgets collecting dust, the purchases that promised happiness but delivered nothing. You're earning money, yet somehow it slips through your fingers. You buy things, yet your space feels cluttered. You own so much, yet something feels hollow inside. The real question isn't about earning more, it's about understanding what enough truly means. And before I show you how to reclaim your life through 7 powerful Japanese principles, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you'll want to see what comes next. And if you find value in what I share today, leave a comment telling me which principle speaks to you most. Your engagement helps this message reach others who need it. Living in Japan has taught me something the Western world often misses. There's a group of people here who've mastered the art of living richly while owning little. They're not extreme penny pinchers, they haven't given up on comfort or joy. Instead, they've discovered a profound truth. Everything that enters your life should earn its place there. This intentional approach creates something extraordinary. Less spending, but deeper living. Fewer possessions, but greater peace. More savings, not from deprivation, but from wisdom. Every choice they make, from meals to furniture to shopping, builds a foundation of financial wellness that's both lasting and deeply satisfying. I'm Takumi Yamamoto, and on this channel, Japanese Minimalism Tips, I share the wisdom of my culture with those seeking a simpler path. Today, I'll walk you through 7 transformative principles that could save you $5,000 annually while completely reshaping how you experience life. These aren't quick fixes, they're a philosophy, a path towards simplicity, intelligence, and genuine freedom. Let's begin this journey together.
Principle 1, Danshari, the sacred art of refuse, dispose, and detach. The exhaustion we feel often doesn't come from our busy schedules. It comes from the overwhelming excess surrounding us. Too many objects, too much noise, endless small distractions fragmenting our attention until our minds suffocate under the weight. Within this chaos, Japanese wisdom offers us Danshari, a spiritual practice that goes beyond simple organization. It's a healing path, a gentle truth. You deserve to live with less weight, more light, and deeper meaning. The word Danshari combines 3 Japanese concepts. Dan means refuse. Sha means discard. Ri means detach. Each concept represents a step. Together, they form a graceful philosophy that releases not just physical clutter from your space, but emotional baggage from your soul. Dan, to refuse. In our advertising-saturated world, saying no requires courage. But refusing isn't about denying yourself, it's about awareness. It's the moment you pause and ask, does this truly serve me? Will this lighten my load or add to my burden? Refusing is your first defense against clutter. It stops the flood before it enters your home. When you scroll through online shops, when friends suggest impulse purchases, when sales tempt you with urgency, this is when Dan matters most. If you're finding this helpful, show your support by tapping that like button. It takes 1 second but means everything to creators like me on Japanese Minimalism Tips. Sha, to discard. This is where you face your overflowing closets, where you examine each item honestly. When did you last use this? Why are you still gripping it? Not everything you own deserves the space it occupies. Not in your home, not in your mind. Releasing what no longer serves you is like respectfully saying goodbye to an old version of yourself. It's acknowledging who you were while making room for who you're becoming. As you practice Danshari, something almost magical occurs. You're not just cleaning rooms, you're clearing mental space. Lightness spreads through your being. Open space appears where chaos once lived. And in that space, you'll finally hear it, that inner voice telling you what truly matters. People who embrace Danshari often describe it as receiving a fresh start. They make better choices. They live more intentionally. Most importantly, they realize they need far less than they imagined. Not from lack, but from discovering fullness within. Fascinating, isn't it? A simple philosophy born from one Japanese woman's observations now touches millions globally. Because ultimately, we're all seeking the same thing, peace in our daily existence.
Danshari might be your first door leading back to that peace.
Principle 2. Ma, the profound art of intentional space. If Danshari teaches us to release what no longer serves us, Ma is the precious emptiness that emerges afterward. Space that might appear silent initially, but within that silence, the deepest parts of ourselves begin speaking. Ma in Japanese translates to interval or space, but it's not absence, it's presence, a quiet, deliberate presence. It's the pause between musical notes, not interrupting the melody, but giving it depth. It's the empty corner in a room, not lacking, but breathing. Ma is the art of stepping back, of doing nothing so everything else gains meaning. In Japanese culture, Ma exists everywhere. In walls left unadorned, in the silence of tea ceremonies, in unspoken moments between two people who understand each other beyond words. It's the ultimate expression of simplicity, unassuming, quiet, yet profoundly deep. Ma's beauty lies in not asking you to add. It invites subtraction. Fewer objects, less noise, simpler schedules. And through this subtraction, you uncover quiet space you may have forgotten you needed. Space to breathe, space to reflect, space to return to yourself. Ma isn't cold emptiness. It's a gentle invitation saying, pause, observe, feel. When you enter a space designed with Ma, you don't feel deprived, you feel lightness. When you structure your schedule with Ma, you don't feel idle, you feel fully present moment by moment. And hey, if you haven't subscribed to Japanese Minimalism tips yet, now's the perfect moment. We've got so much more wisdom to share with you. Most of us live frantically, days crammed with back-to-back obligations barely lifting our heads. But imagine placing true pauses into your day, not to scroll mindlessly or distract yourself, but to simply watch clouds drift by, or close your eyes and notice your breathing. That is Ma in time. The miracle? The more Ma you create in your life, the more focused you become, the deeper you live, the more you can serve, energetically, emotionally, even financially. Ma doesn't force strict minimalism on you. It simply reminds you kindly that sometimes the space between things makes everything else meaningful. A painting gains beauty from surrounding white space. A conversation touches hearts when it allows silence. A life feels complete when we create pauses to breathe, contemplate, rest, and understand our direction. In this healing journey through Japanese minimalism, Ma is your quiet yet powerful companion. It doesn't dictate your actions, it simply opens a door so you can witness the beauty of space. Space not meant for filling, but for welcoming you back to yourself, gently and completely.
Principle 3. Sukuru, the empowering culture of creating instead of buying. After learning to release what's unnecessary and opening space for stillness, a new question emerges. What truly deserves to stay? In that quiet moment of reflection, Japanese wisdom offers another gentle invitation, sukuru, a subtle reminder that the most beautiful things often come from your own two hands. Sukuru, in Japanese, means to make or to create, but it's far more than a verb. It's a lifestyle philosophy rooted in intention, self-reliance, and quiet devotion. It invites you not to buy, not to rely on others, but to craft, to invest your hands, your time, your heart into what you need. Whether it's a meal, a gift, or something humble and handmade, sukuru honors not perfection, but presence. Like kintsugi, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold, it teaches us to celebrate imperfection, effort, and tenderness. Sukuru doesn't only live in craft villages or among skilled artisans, it exists in everyday life, in small, quiet acts of care. When you cook a meal with simple ingredients, when you mend a tear in your clothing instead of discarding it, when you create something by hand for someone you love, in each moment, you're not just saving money, you're nurturing your spirit in a deeply personal way. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Together, we can spread the wisdom of Japanese minimalism tips to more people seeking peace and purpose. Because when you make something yourself, you must slow down. You must pay attention. You must listen, observe, feel. You step out of mindless consumption cycle and into presence.
Every action becomes mindfulness, and in that space, quiet joy blooms. Not because what you made is perfect or trendy, but because it carries you, your care, your patience, your time. Sukudu also brings quiet freedom. When you realize you can create, you no longer need to chase what's marketed to you. You're no longer easily swayed by trends because you understand that real value doesn't come from labels. It comes from connection. Creating something yourself reclaims your agency, not just over objects, but over your entire life. The beautiful part? You don't need special skills or talent to live with Sukudu's spirit. You just need to begin, slowly, gently, from wherever you are. Nothing is too small to be made with love. Even peeling an apple, cooking soup, or writing a handwritten note, when done with Sukudu's heart, becomes a quiet ritual of self-love. In today's world where almost everything arrives with a single tap, choosing to make it yourself feels like quiet resistance. But it's resistance wrapped in tenderness. It's saying, I am enough. I don't need more. I just need to return to my hands, my breath, my being, and remember what creating, not consuming, feels like. Sukudu doesn't teach you to make more things. It teaches you to make less, but with more heart. So everything you bring into the world isn't just something you use, but something that stays with you, an extension of who you are, a living piece of a life shaped with purpose, care, and quiet joy.
Principle 4. Mottainai, the sacred philosophy of honoring what exists. Once you've learned to slow down, release the unnecessary, embrace stillness, and craft with your own hands the small things nourishing your life, another question quietly surfaces. Am I treating this existence with enough reverence? That's when Mottainai softly enters, a small Japanese word carrying profound cultural and spiritual depth. Mottainai doesn't simply mean don't waste. It expresses quiet sorrow, a sense of regret, not from lacking, but from something not living out its full worth. An item discarded when still useful, a meal left unfinished, a small tear in clothing leading to replacement rather than repair. These moments all whisper Mottainai's spirit, a reminder that everything holds value and we have a responsibility to honor that. This philosophy roots itself in Buddhist and Shinto principles, where every form of existence, material or natural, is considered sacred. In this worldview, even chopsticks, an old shirt, or a wilted vegetable deserves gratitude, because each humble thing carries within it time, effort, energy, not only from human hands, but from the earth itself. Mottainai doesn't demand deprivation or extreme frugality. It simply invites conscious living, to pause before buying something new, to repair before replacing, to use what you already have fully and lovingly before seeking more. Drop a comment below telling me which principle resonates most with you so far. I read every single comment on Japanese minimalism tips, and your thoughts inspire future content. When you begin living with Mottainai's spirit, you realize many things you thought you needed were never truly essential. They were habits, reflexes, reactions to a world constantly pushing consumption. As you slow down, something shifts within. The urge to accumulate lessens. You begin feeling whole with what you already possess. Every time you keep something a little longer, every time you breathe new life into what was destined for trash, you build a bridge, a quiet connection between yourself and the world around you. And in that connection lives deep, quiet joy because you know you're living with awareness, care, and compassion. Mottainai doesn't just reduce waste, it softens the heart. It teaches gratitude. It shows us that nothing is truly useless when we view it through respect's lens, and that life becomes richer not through accumulation, but through how we care and preserve the small, ordinary things around us. In a world overflowing with excess, yet starved of connection, Mottainai is a breath of clean, still air. It brings mindfulness into our thoughts, care into our hands, and quiet fulfillment into our hearts, not from what we own, but from the love and presence we bring into how we live. Principle 5, seasonal living, flowing with nature's rhythm. Once you've learned to simplify, preserve, and create from humble things around you, you begin seeing the world differently. No longer rushed or overwhelmed by frantic calendars, your gaze softens, more attuned to quiet shifts in nature. This is where seasonal living gently unfolds, a lifestyle that's simple on the surface, yet deeply transformative beneath. Seasonal living isn't a rigid rule book, it's a conscious state of being. It's realizing we don't need to separate ourselves from nature, we can live with it. It's letting the natural world's rhythm guide your own, through foods you choose, how you use energy, or how you listen to your body and adjust your daily flow. The Japanese have lived this way for centuries, not because it's trendy, but because they've long understood that wisdom often lies in returning to what is closest. In spring, they welcome cherry blossoms as a ritual of renewal. In summer, they celebrate with festivals under stars, embracing light and cicada songs. In autumn, they slow down, taking in shifting leaf colors like quiet reflections on time. When winter arrives, they turn inward, not only warming their homes, but also their spirits. This lifestyle offers more than practical benefits like saving on food, reducing energy use, or maximizing what's available. It also brings quiet ease. When you live seasonally, you stop forcing yourself to maintain a constant artificial pace year-round. You allow yourself to shift, rest, begin again, just as the earth does. Over time, you start feeling more connected. You notice subtle signs, a cool breeze hinting at seasonal change, the sudden abundance of certain fruit, how afternoon light changes color. These seemingly ordinary moments become small sources of nourishment because you're no longer standing outside nature, you're living within it, moment by moment. Seasonal living doesn't require a complete life overhaul, it begins with noticing, with asking yourself what your body needs this season, what your heart longs for, what the world around you quietly says. Then, bit by bit, you begin living more deeply, more gently, more truthfully. And in doing so, you realize something simple yet profound. No season is without purpose. Each one brings its own gift. Spring carries hope. Summer brings vitality. Autumn invites reflection. Winter offers stillness. When you allow yourself to move through all 4 seasons this way, you're not just moving through a year. You're moving through a full cycle of healing.
Principle 6. One in, one out. The rule of balance. After slowing down with seasons, learning to cherish what you have, and saying no to wastefulness, something shifts in how you see your surroundings. Space no longer feels like something needing to be filled, it becomes something needing protection. From that awareness emerges a simple yet profound principle, the one in, one out rule. At first glance, this rule might seem purely practical. For every new item you bring into your home, you release one existing item. But at its heart, it's an invitation to live with intention, to enter into conscious relationship with your possessions, to let every choice be meaningful, not just a reflex driven by momentary desire. And if you're loving this content on Japanese minimalism tips, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss our weekly uploads. Hit that bell icon too. This rule doesn't ask you to be strict. It simply offers a way to maintain balance between what comes in and what goes out, between the new and the old, between acquiring and releasing. Because without boundaries, accumulation creeps in quietly. Every little thing we keep, if we're not mindful, begins taking up not only space in our rooms, but space in our minds. When you live by this principle, you become more sensitive to your belongings. Each time you consider bringing something new into your life, you pause and ask, am I truly willing to release something else for this? That question alone reshapes your decision-making. It helps clarify what really matters to you right now. You begin detaching from the urge to hold on just in case. You stop keeping things for someday and start living with what supports you today. What's beautiful is that over time, you feel lighter, not just in your physical environment, but in your spirit. A room curated with just enough feels more breathable, more focused, more peaceful. It's like tending a garden. If you let every plant grow without care, sunlight can no longer reach the soil. But if you prune gently with intention, that same garden flourishes. The one-in, one-out rule reflects Japanese minimalism's quiet grace. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply restores harmony in the most natural, humble way. It teaches you that to make space for something new, you must be brave enough to release the old. And that isn't loss, it's growth. When you live with this rule long enough, buying no longer feels like an automatic source of happiness. Instead, you start finding joy in choosing well, in keeping what truly serves you, and in the freedom that comes when you're no longer weighed down by excess. That's the deeper beauty of the one-in, one-out rule. It doesn't just declutter your home, it clears your mind, sharpens your values, and gently frees your soul.
Principle 7. Kakeibo, the traditional Japanese budgeting system. After everything you've released, everything you've preserved, everything you've remade, one essential element remains to complete a truly sustainable minimalist lifestyle: money. Not as a goal to chase, but as energy flow that deserves to be understood, respected, and guided with intention. The Japanese have a quiet, profound way of doing this. They call it Kakeibo. Kakeibo, which translates to household finance ledger, is more than a budgeting tool. It's an art of living. Born over a century ago from the wisdom of Hani Motoko, Japan's first female journalist, it wasn't just a method for women to manage household finances. It was a seed of empowerment, a way to nurture independence, and most importantly, a path to understanding oneself through numbers on a page. With Kakeibo, money isn't something to control with logic alone, it's something to connect with through the heart. You're not just writing down what you spend, you're asking yourself, why did I spend that? What emotion guided that decision? Does this serve the life I truly want to live? When you repeat that process daily, something remarkable unfolds. You realize money was never the problem. It's how you relate to it that makes the difference. Every dollar you spend becomes less of an impulse and more of a conscious choice. You start noticing the leaks, expenses that keep showing up without bringing joy. And you rediscover forgotten dreams, the little ones that never had space in your budget simply because you hadn't made room for them. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you to do something important. Share this video with one person who needs to hear this message. Send it to a friend, a family member, or post it on your social media. Let's spread these life-changing principles together through Japanese minimalism tips. Kakeibo doesn't require you to be good at math. It doesn't force harsh cutbacks. It simply asks you to make time, just a little each day, to return to yourself through one small act. Writing things down, observing, reflecting, and asking, did I live today aligned with what I truly value? Month by month, number by number, quiet clarity emerges. You no longer feel like a victim of your finances, you become the one guiding them. You begin crafting a life where every expense reflects your real priorities. Slowly, saving money is no longer about cutting down. It becomes a journey of coming home to what really matters. Kakeibo is a habit, yes, but it's also a sacred daily ritual, a way to remind yourself again and again that you have the right to make conscious choices, to lead your money, your decisions, and your life. Not with noise, not with pressure, but with the quiet strength of ink on paper, carrying the deep awakening of someone who is truly paying attention.
Your journey begins now. We've reached the end of this journey through 7 principles of Japanese minimalism. Take a moment to notice what's resonating in your heart. Maybe it's the spaciousness of Ma, the empowerment of Tsuguru, the grounding of Kakeibo. Maybe it's all of them. But here's the truth. You don't have to apply them all at once. Just start with one. One small step, one surface cleared, one meal cooked, one expense written down. These principles are not commandments, they are invitations. Invitations to simplify, to return to what matters, and to save not just money, but energy, attention, and peace. So, I'll leave you with this question. What's one principle you'll try this week? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video helped you breathe a little easier or think a little deeper, please hit that like button, subscribe to Japanese Minimalism Tips, and share this with someone you love. Until next time, live simply, live fully, and remember, sometimes the richest life is the one with the fewest things, but the clearest purpose. This is Takumi Yamamoto, signing off from Japanese Minimalism Tips. See you in the next one.